When installing electrical boxes in an apartment building with fire-rated walls, it is crucial to understand and adhere to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, requirements. The specific scenario we're addressing involves electrical boxes that are within 24 inches of each other but are separated by a metal stud. According to the 2020 NEC, any electrical box installed in a wall, ceiling, or a floor that is part of a fire-rated assembly must be fire-rated. This requirement is in place to maintain the integrity of the fire-rated assembly and prevent the spread of fire. The NEC defines a fire-rated assembly as a construction element such as a wall, floor, or ceiling that has been tested and certified to resist the passage of fire for a specific period of time. These assemblies are designed to compartmentalize a building, slowing down the spread of fire and providing occupants with more time to evacuate safely. Now, let's address the critical question of whether a metal stud qualifies as a fire-rated barrier. The answer is no. A metal stud, while providing structural support, does not inherently provide the level of fire resistance required to be considered a fire-rated barrier. Therefore, any electrical box installed within 24 inches of a metal stud in a fire-rated wall must be fire-rated. This requirement is not based on the presence of the metal stud but rather on the overall fire-rated assembly of the wall. The purpose of using fire-rated boxes is to prevent fire from spreading through the wall via the electrical boxes. If a standard, non-fire-rated box is used, it could melt or burn in a fire, creating an opening in the wall that allows flames and smoke to pass through. Fire-rated boxes are designed to withstand high temperatures for a specific period, maintaining the integrity of the wall and preventing the fire from spreading. The NEC does not provide a specific list of approved fire-rated boxes, but it does require that the boxes be listed and labeled for use in fire-rated assemblies. This means that the boxes must have been tested by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories or Intertek, and certified to meet specific fire resistance standards. When selecting fire-rated boxes, it's essential to choose boxes that are appropriate for the specific fire resistance rating of the wall. Fire resistance ratings are typically expressed in IRs such as 1 IR, 2 IR, or 3 IR. The electrical boxes must have a fire resistance rating that is equal to or greater than the fire resistance rating of the wall. In addition to selecting the correct fire-rated boxes, it's also important to install them properly. The NEC provides specific requirements for the installation of electrical boxes in fire-rated walls, including the use of fire-stopping materials to seal any openings around the boxes. Fire-stopping materials are designed to prevent the passage of fire and smoke through penetrations in fire-rated assemblies. These materials can include intumescent sealants, mineral wool, or other approved product. When installing electrical boxes in fire-rated walls, it's crucial to follow the manufacturer's instructions for both the boxes and the fire-stopping materials. Improper installation can compromise the fire resistance rating of the wall and create a potential fire hazard. It is also important to note that the NEC requires that any wiring that penetrates a fire-rated wall must also be protected by fire-stopping materials. This includes electrical cables, conduits, and other wiring methods. The fire-stopping materials must be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions to maintain the integrity of the fire-rated assembly. The 24-inch rule in the NEC is a guideline for maintaining the fire resistance of a wall assembly. The concern is that closely spaced non-fire-rated boxes can weaken the wall's ability to resist fire penetration. Even with a metal stud separating them, the potential for heat transfer and subsequent fire spread remains a concern. Therefore, the fire-rated box requirement applies. There may be some exceptions in the NEC, but these are limited. The requirements for fire-stopping materials are outlined in NEC section 300.21, which states that openings around electrical penetrations through fire-resistant rated walls, partitions, floors, or ceilings shall be fire-stopped using approved methods to maintain the fire resistance rating. The NEC also provides specific requirements for the types of fire-stopping materials that can be used. Section 314.20 covers boxes in walls or ceilings. It states that in fire-rated systems, boxes shall be listed for the fire resistance rating of the wall or ceiling. Section 314.41 covers box fill calculation. Ensure that the electrical boxes are not overcrowded with wires, as this can create a fire hazard. The NEC provides specific requirements for box fill, which must be followed. Section 330.15 provides requirements for when not to use metal-clad cable. Section 334.12 provides requirements for when not to use non-metallic sheath cable. Section 392.22 covers cable fill for cable trays. Cable trays are often used in apartment buildings to support and route electrical cables. The NEC provides specific requirements for the number of cables that can be installed in a cable tray, which must be followed to prevent overheating and fire hazards. Section 406.4 covers receptacles in damp or wet locations. Receptacles installed in damp or wet locations, such as bathrooms and kitchens, must be protected by ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs. This is to prevent electrical shock hazards. Section 408.36 covers overcurrent protection. Panel boards must be protected by overcurrent devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses. The overcurrent devices must be sized appropriately for the load they are protecting. Section 517.13 covers grounding of electrical equipment in healthcare facilities. The NEC provides specific requirements for the grounding of electrical equipment in healthcare facilities, such as hospitals and nursing homes. This is to prevent electrical shock hazards to patients and staff. Section 547.9 covers bonding of electrical equipment in agricultural buildings. The NEC provides specific requirements for the bonding of electrical equipment in agricultural buildings, such as barns and poultry houses. This is to prevent stray voltage, which can harm livestock. Section 600.7 covers grounding of electric signs and outline lighting. The NEC provides specific requirements for the grounding of electric signs and outline lighting. This is to prevent electrical shock hazards. Section 625.22 covers overcurrent protection for electric vehicle charging equipment. The NEC provides specific requirements for the overcurrent protection of electric vehicle charging equipment. This is to prevent overloading and fire hazards. Section 690.9 covers overcurrent protection for solar photovoltaic systems. The NEC provides specific requirements for the overcurrent protection of solar photovoltaic systems. This is to prevent overloading and fire hazards. Section 700.12 covers wiring of emergency systems. The NEC provides specific requirements for the wiring of emergency systems, such as emergency lighting and fire alarm systems. This is to ensure that these systems will function properly in the event of a power outage. Section 701.11 covers wiring of legally required standby systems. The NEC provides specific requirements for the wiring of legally required standby systems, such as fire pumps and elevators. This is to ensure that these systems will function properly in the event of a power outage. Section 702.11 covers wiring of optional standby systems. The NEC provides specific requirements for the wiring of optional standby systems, such as generators that provide power to non-essential loads. This is to ensure that these systems will function properly in the event of a power outage. Section 705.12 covers interconnected electric power production sources. The NEC provides specific requirements for the interconnection of electric power production sources, such as solar photovoltaic systems and wind turbines, with the utility grid. This is to ensure that the interconnected system is safe and reliable. Section 725.55 covers separation of Class 2 and Class 3 circuits. The NEC provides specific requirements for the separation of Class 2 and Class 3 circuits from other circuits. This is to prevent electrical shock hazards and fire hazards. Section 760.41 covers power limitations for fire alarm circuits. The NEC provides specific requirements for the power limitations of fire alarm circuits. This is to prevent electrical shock hazards and fire hazards. Section 800.133 covers grounding of communications systems. The NEC provides specific requirements for the grounding of communications systems such as telephone systems and data networks. This is to prevent electrical shock hazards and equipment damage. Compliance with the NEC is essential for ensuring the safety of electrical installations in apartment buildings. The use of fire-rated boxes in fire-rated walls, even when separated by metal studs, is a critical aspect of fire safety. Consulting with a qualified electrician is recommended to ensure that all electrical work is performed in accordance with the NEC and other applicable codes. Always refer to the most recent version of the NEC and local building codes for the most up-to-date requirements. Failure to comply with these codes can result in fines, penalties, and, more importantly, increased risk of fire and injury. In summary, in an apartment building with fire-rated walls, electrical boxes within 24 inches of each other, even if separated by a metal stud, must be fire-rated. This is because a metal stud does not constitute a fire-rated barrier, and the integrity of the fire-rated assembly must be maintained to prevent the spread of fire. Always use listed and labeled fire-rated boxes and install them according to the manufacturer's instructions and the NEC requirements, including the use of appropriate fire-stopping materials.